Hey everybody, hello, we're back.
Deleted all my tags.
We are back. Kehinde is going to try to figure out how to restart her live video because something happened and it deleted all of her tags like just right now.
Wow, that's crazy.
So
Well,
we
we
are.
let them see you, Kehinde. Come on.
So here she comes. Here she comes.
Say hi.
Hi guys. Wearing her giant big black girl magic earrings. She did not forget her earrings today.
I did not.
All right. So we are back talking about, of course, resolving racism. That is always a topic. We want to make sure people stay focused on what is happening in this country right now because there are a lot of distractions if you watch the news. And it's very easy to get distracted and overwhelmed. But we have to keep in mind that the goal of everything that we should be focusing on at this time is eliminating racism. That is the goal. Eliminate racism. We can talk about defunding the police. We can talk about passing legislation. We can talk about pulling down statues and the Confederate flag. But if we do all that and racism still exists, we will have failed miserably. So let's focus on what the actual goal is, which is to eliminate racism versus all of the symptoms that we see. Because right now people are reacting to symptoms. And you know what happens when you go to the doctor and you treat symptoms? What good is treating the symptoms if you still have the disease? When people get cancer, they don't go to the doctor to treat the cancer. They go in the hope to eliminate the cancer. So let's eliminate this cancer that is called racism. And let's stay very focused on that and act in wisdom and discernment so that we're not losing our focus. Because people are acting in outrage and anger and out of feeling overwhelmed and frustrated.
Which we
understand
totally
it.
overstand that.
Yes.
We just need to make sure, as we do, all that anger, frustration, resentment is channeled into positive, constructive energy that actually eliminates racism.
Right.
So we're talking about actually eliminating the myth of white psychopathy, white supremacy, the myth of white psychopathy from every area of society. We have to get rid of the myth of white supremacy in economics, education, entertainment, family, labor, law, politics, religion, science, war. We've got 10 areas of society that we must look at. So everything that we're seeing now is just the tip of this racist iceberg. This iceberg is huge.
It's huge.
And it took 500 years to perfect. Racism took 500 years to perfect. It did not exist before colonization. This has all been created to sanctify, sanitize, and exonerate the exploitive inhumanity of colonization, which is the boot on the neck of all people who are not Caucasian. And ironically, racism hurts Caucasians too.
That's
because
right.
it does not allow any of us to achieve our full spiritual potential.
It dehumanizes people.
It dehumanizes
Everybody.
all of us.
Even the people that people believe benefit from it. Truly, in looking at all of humanity, nobody really benefits from racism. So until we can all get to the place to where we can acknowledge that and we start working together to eliminate it, then nobody is really, like my mom said, Miss Kujichagulia, reaching their full, remember that was coming, reaching their full spiritual potential. And the good news is, because it was not here prior to colonization, that means that we can get rid of it.
We've been here for hundreds of thousands of years.
That's right.
As one human race.
That's right.
A race of many hues of colors.
Yes.
Taiwo Falami, Kujichagulia Saitu, because we are really bad at not naming ourselves.
We did not. We didn't name ourselves.
I just realized that.
Assume that you guys all know us and you stop doing that.
And we know each other.
Right. We need to do that.
Yes. And
Kehinde at Conky Salter.
yes. So here we are.
Here we are.
And we're making sure that we focus on the big picture. The big picture. Oh, here comes the grandson. Are you going to put your face in there, Cameron? Say hi. Okay, Cameron. Thank you, Cameron. We have to focus and make sure that the babies don't go through this.
Yeah.
We can't have the grandchildren and great-grandchildren with the same
Sickness.
problem.
Right.
We have got to stop this now.
Right.
We're not talking about another 500 years.
No one wants to see that.
That's evolution. Another 50 years, 60 years. No. This is time for change now. And the revolutionaries out in the street revolutionaries, people who want
Quick
fast
change. Yeah, fast change.
And remember, I'm using the English language. This is the English language word, revolutionaries. Those revolutionaries are demanding change now. They're not waiting 50 years. I've been waiting since the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
It's a long time to
I'm
wait,
still
yo.
waiting.
Yeah.
My parents have died and they've never seen this. My grandparents have died. They never saw this day. We cannot continue to wait for the oppressor to give anything, which is what I like about the revolutionaries.
Yeah.
We know that no one gives you freedom.
That's right.
You take your freedom, which reminds me of, of the true definition of Juneteenth. Because Juneteenth is, I don't look at it as a celebration.
And we never grew up celebrating Juneteenth.
No, we
for this reason.
protested it because it was the time when blacks were enslaved longer than they needed to be enslaved, so that the enslaver could reap more profits off their labor. The Emancipation Proclamation did not end slavery.
Please stop telling people that lie.
Abraham Lincoln was a famous enslaver. He was not an emancipator. That was a ploy and tactic used by the Union Army to increase the ranks of the Union Army.
Yep.
It was never designed to end slavery. Racism has never planned to end slavery. So the 13th Amendment ended slavery, but America won't tell you that because that was brought about by black folks.
Wait.
13th Amendment ended it. Still, once the 13th Amendment ended slavery, the people who were enslaved in the island of Galveston, Texas, were not told. Galveston, Texas. And when the people in Galveston, Texas found out that they had been enslaved longer than they should have been, because the 13th Amendment came into existence
January 31st,
January
1865.
January 31st. These people were not freed in January, February, March, April, May. They kept them enslaved for 6 more months until sometime in June when they realized, you mean we've been free all this time and you've been working us like slaves? Yes, it's not a celebration. It's another reason for reparations. So I have never celebrated Juneteenth. It is a time to be angry of being enslaved longer than should be. It's not a time for celebration. It's time for reparations.
And here's how I feel. If you want to celebrate Juneteenth, now mind you, unless your family's from Galveston, Texas,
Right.
you guys were already free. And your family
Yes.
came from January 31st.
Yes, thanks to black people
Which is
in
why,
Reconstruction.
right, which is why Texas recognized it.
Right.
And that was the only state because it only
Right.
happened in Galveston, Texas. However, if you guys want to celebrate Juneteenth, that's
Celebrate.
fine.
Celebrate.
But let's not have all these news people telling us
Lies.
that Juneteenth came about because the Emancipation Proclamation
No.
freed us in 1863.
No.
That's just not true.
That's
And
not
I got
right.
so irritated last Friday watching all these newscasters tell us more lies.
And did you hear what she said? Emancipation Proclamation 1863. 63. How much longer did slavery last in this country?
2 years.
2 more years. Come on now. Why do you need a 13th Amendment in 1865
Yep.
if the emancipation ended slavery
In 1863?
Because it didn't. It was never intended to eliminate slavery. It was never designed to eliminate slavery. And to this day, America will do everything possible to sustain, protect racism. That's why that word is very rarely used. People talk about change. I changed my underwear. I changed my clothes. This is not about change. This is not about protest. I protest when prices are too high. I protest when the gas is too high. This is beyond protest. This is not about marching, protest, or change. This is about, be clear, eliminating racism.
Yes.
We have got to be clear. This is about eliminating white psychopathy. And let's get that definition again. Psychopathy. Whew. A narcissistic personality disorder. Egocentricity. Unbelievable, unfathomable arrogance. Complete lack of remorse for others. Typified by a failure to ever learn from one's past mistakes. Psychopathy is distinguished by a persistent pattern of disregard for the civil rights, human rights, and social rights of other people. It is a system that attacks and violates the rights of other people. Psychopathy. It happens in the mind, doesn't learn from its past mistakes, which is why a lot of people have no problem saying that black lives don't matter, because America has taught everybody since colonization
That they don't.
America has taught everybody since colonization that indigenous people's lives don't matter.
That's right.
America has taught people since colonization and the internment of Japanese and anybody who looked Asian during World War II. America is very clear to let you know that the only lives America respects are Caucasian lives.
And usually rich Caucasians.
Because any Caucasian that's not with the program, America hates you
and
too.
be male. Don't forget to not be a woman.
So we are living in a country, in a system of racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, materialistic, individualistic savagery under capitalism. We are all victims of it. Some of us know how to wake up and scrape it off of us every day and not let the psychopathy seep into your brain, because we've all been brainwashed. I was brainwashed. Everybody is brainwashed until someone comes along and you start learning differently. You start looking at things differently. You start reading things differently. You have to start thinking differently, because America programs you to think in ways that enable you to perpetuate and enable us to perpetuate our own oppression simply with the language of the oppressor.
Right, to just not think. Just accept everything. And to accept violence particularly.
Yes. So this is a country that was born out of racist violence. This is a country that got rich out of racist violence. And remember, ladies, we were simply considered chattel, no matter what color you were.
Right.
White women did not have the right to vote. White women were considered chattel in this country. Sexist, racist country lacking any sense of democracy, justice, freedom, and liberty, all of which are African ideals. That's another history story. The truth has not been told. We have adopted. It's like you wake up one morning and you realize you're adopted, and you're angry at first. You're mad. Well, then eventually you realize, I want to find out who my real parents are. And then you start thinking, you start letting your common sense take over. The anger starts to minimize, and you start doing things that get you to the truth. That's where we are right now. We've all adopted 500 years of racist lies. We've all thought we were living in a democracy until we realized, wait a minute, that's not democracy. This doesn't look right.
I don't feel particularly free.
I feel like there's any liberation going on.
What's happening?
So we all adopted those lies. But now we have to realize it's time for the truth. The truth of who we really are as humane beings, of one human race. The truth of what it means to live in a humane society. Rather than a racist, sexist, stereotypical, classist, imperialistic, and on culture. This is two totally different cultures we're looking at here. And people now are realizing, I'm either going to be a compassionate human being, or I'm going to continue to be a racist, egotistical psychopath. But the choice is always ours. As humans, we have the power of free will.
That's right.
We can choose. That's what makes it so wonderful.
And we have the power to change what we see is wrong.
So
for people who are feeling overwhelmed and powerless, we have the power to change what's happening. We have to learn the truth. Tell the truth. Acknowledge the truth.
And live it.
And we don't have to go screaming at people. Ah! We don't have to do that. We can be an example. We're an example in our everyday lives. Children learn by watching what we do. We don't sit them down and lecture them for hours and hours on end. They learn by example. The people around us will learn by example. So if we start with changing us, changing what we know, what we believe to be true, what we know to be true, changing our language so that we're not using violent language, so we're not using language that perpetuates racism and sexism, so that we're not using language that's homophobic.
That's right.
That is offensive to so many other people. Like, I work in a school where the teenagers are offensive to people all the time. All the time. And I have to say, hey, you guys, can we be polite on purpose?
Can we respect
polite? Can we respect one another? Can we respect ourselves? When we start with ourselves, it spreads outward. And one of the things I tell the students, and when I ask them that, when they're always, they use so much language that is offensive to everybody all the time. And I say, hey, let's be respectful. Let's treat each other like human beings. Let's respect one another with our language. And they look at me and they giggle and they go, hee hee hee. I say, hey, do you hear me calling the teachers out of their names?
Right.
Yeah. Do you hear me calling the administration out of their names? Right. What would that feel like if you went to a school that was that dysfunctional, where the adults were talking crazy to each other all the time, the way you guys talk crazy to each other, and it stops and it makes them think, and they literally are silent after that, and they go, huh. I say, yeah, it would be crazy. It sounds crazy when you guys do it too. You're just not aware of it.
And I just want to grow up and be adults like that.
Yeah. Right, crazy adults.
And I just want to add that, yes, we are all human beings, even when you feel passionate about the point that you are trying to make, as in, hey, my life matters. Whatever the point you're trying to make, we have to remember the other people that we're addressing are also human beings. And as a human being, you don't react to what people are saying. You react to the
way
emotion and the way that they say it. So if somebody comes at you, screaming at you, cursing at you, talking all kinds of crazy, you might not listen to anything they're saying because you're responding to the delivery. We have to know that if we want people to hear us, we need to deliver it in a way to where they will be even receptive and opening to hearing us, because if the bottom line is you just being angry and making your point, or just being angry, then that's fine. But if the bottom line is coming to resolution to resolve racism and move into a future where everybody is benefiting because everybody's humanity is respected, then that's what we need to focus on.
And remember, everybody is human and they're in a different place in their lives.
Yeah, yes.
I remember when I was a young, dumb idiot. Young and dumb. Everything the books told, I was. I read the books. I read the stuff in school. I read the lies. I didn't know that the books were lying to me. I didn't know the commercials were lying to me. Commercials like, cigarettes are healthy for you and they make you look sexy. I grew up with the lie that if you get under your desk, it'll save you from an atomic blast. We had exercises in school to get under our desk and save us from atomic blast. All the lies that we have been taught. The wonderful thing is we all have brains. We have to start using them.
Yes.
We have to start looking at things. Analyze that stuff that you see. Test it out. Evaluate it. Read every book you can find on it. And then you synthesize information based on intelligence. And never argue. I love that about my religion.
Yeah, me too. I don't argue with people.
No. Nobody has to agree on everything.
That's right.
Identical twins, they don't agree on everything.
That is for sure.
Facts.
That's wonderful. We don't all have to agree on everything ever, but we don't have to disrespect anybody ever.
Yep.
What if we start there? What if we start actually talking about the truth? And I hear a lot of people who are saying, well, I really don't know how to start this conversation. It would be like me having a conversation about golf. Know nothing about it. Don't know how to talk about it. Never could tell you anything about it. But I do know that some people play golf. So I know that that's a real thing that I need to acknowledge.
And you know how to listen.
And I can listen.
So if you don't know, you can at least listen.
So same thing with this reality that we are going through. Sure, you may not know how to express it to your little 2-year-old, but don't forget, there are a lot of 2-year-old little black people who are living it every day.
Right.
All you have to do is talk about it.
Lord, have mercy.
We're the ones who are living it every day. I have had so many racist incidents in my life. I'd be here until my grandchildren grew up, telling you all the racist events that happened in my life, as I'm sure yours. They happen all the time because we're in a racist society, and they will continue until we eliminate racism. Stop saying change. Identify the change you want. No more racism. No more white psychopathy. Stop talking about marching. I march to my car. I march all kind of places. We're talking about eliminating racism, eliminating white psychopathy. Don't be ambiguous. Don't be vague. Be very specific in your intentions. We're very clear. 2 things. Eliminate racism, eliminate white psychopathy. And of course America won't do it. Because if they would have, they'd have done it by now.
Right.
America has no way to do it. It's not built to do it, but we are.
It's us.
We
have to
are.
do it.
We're built
We have
to do it. We have the brain to do it. We have the will, the power, and the might. And we have seen that in the last few weeks.
Right. It cannot be legislated.
No.
We cannot vote it in.
No.
Right.
Because isn't it against the law to kill?
Yep.
Sure it is. People
We're
kill
gonna do it.
every day. Is it rape against the law?
Yep.
People rape every
Against
day.
the law. Yep.
How many restraining orders are broken every single
day.
second?
So many.
See, the law is not the answer. A lot of times the law is the problem.
Yep.
We have got to fix all the injustice that we experience every day in this unjust country, this country of American hypocrisy. Let's bring in the democracy. Let's create some liberty. Let's create some freedom. But none of that's going to happen until we realize we're in a racist nation, racist planet.
Yeah,
Wherever there
planet.
has been colonization, there is
racism.
racism and
all
white
around the world.
psychopathy.
All around the world.
We've got to eliminate the white psychopathy. We don't need another Tarzan movie. We don't need another King Kong movie. We don't need any more cartoons where the where the bad guy is dressed in black. We don't need any more of the racist insanity. Stop now. And all of us have a job to do.
We can all do it.
We stopped it. We call out that racist elephant. Every time we see that racist elephant, you call it out. Or we'll continue to be covered in this racist shit for the rest of our lives.
I was waiting for you to say that part. When I heard her say elephant, I said it's coming.
What do elephants do? What do elephants do? They gotta take a shit too. And the more elephants in the room, the more. Here we are.
Yeah.
And the revolutionaries out there are wading through all the BS.
Yes, they are.
And they are
They're wading
focusing
through it.
on moving us to a new paradigm. And that new paradigm is always very specific. No more racism.
Yes.
No more white psychopathy. Very clear. Now, let's be clear again, because a lot of people like to get stuff twisted. This has nothing to do with anybody's color.
No.
This has nothing to do with people.
Right.
This is about a system of slavery that exists in our minds. Our minds are still enslaved with white psychopathy.
Everybody's mind.
Everybody's
Right.
minds.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter what color you are, what height you are, what your sexual preference, how tall you are, all that is
It affects all
irrelevant
of us.
because we're all one human race.
Yeah.
The problem is people who refuse to respect other people,
Yes.
irrespective of what else is going on.
Yep.
That's the problem. That's what we have to bring to an end. Stay focused on the big picture. Eliminating racism. Stay focused on the big picture. Eliminating white psychopathy. Stay focused on the big picture. Self-love, self-respect.
Yes.
Right. Don't let anybody tell you you are not equal to them. You do not need equality. We don't need any insanity. No more euphemisms. We need the elimination of racism, the elimination of white psychopathy, and we're not asking that. This is what we are doing.
That's what we're doing. Right. So what can you start doing right now today? You can listen to each other.
Buy a book. Buy my book. Buy anybody's book.
We'll
Look.
put it in the comments.
See, this, I march on my typewriter.
Boom. Yeah.
I march on my
That was a
typewriter.
good one.
Constantly putting out books, articles, essays, and I live what I say.
And I don't know what happened to my book like this, so I just reordered it on Amazon. And it came the other day, and me and my kids about to start reading it together tonight. So here's the thing.
And it's written for every age level.
It is literally 115 pages long, and that includes the chronology.
Yeah.
So, and because I'm already reading it with my children. Your children are not too young. Little people are human beings. And they're
Geniuses.
intelligent. They are geniuses. I'm reading through this with my 15-year-old and my 8-year-old, and often because the 8-year-old is more focused, I ask the question and she can answer the question before the 15-year-old, because the 15-year-old is constantly distracted by whatever's dinging on her phone.
Yeah.
The 8-year-old is not.
They're geniuses.
Don't feel like it's over their heads. The only things that are going to be over children's heads are what you decide are over their
That's
heads.
right.
If you have a rational conversation conversation with them, you will realize that they're actually brilliant.
Yep.
And they're not too young to understand
No.
this, because children already know the truth.
That's right.
They come here loving one another.
Yeah.
They come here respecting one another.
They don't
have-
hate anybody
They
until
have
we
to be
train
taught
them.
and trained
That's right.
to hate other
That's
people.
right.
So talk to them. They have insight that you have forgotten as you have grown up.
Yep.
They have insight that will blow you away. Read the books. Read any book with your
Read
child
books.
that is about truth, right?
Yes.
That is about the truth. Read this book with your children. Read any book with your child that is about truth, that will teach them how to be humane beings, because it's their generation that's going to inherit
Hello.
that
Whatever we don't
whatever
get done.
we leave, either this mess, or they will inherit a beautiful world because
That's
we
right.
are doing our job.
That's right.
But whatever we do or don't do, that is what we will leave them.
That's right.
So bring them along, because it's going to be them.
And it's happening on the planet, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Why would you not talk to them about it? It's happening.
I said on Cooking with Your Kids, I was gonna just record Cameron reading, because he reads so well. He reads very well.
We gonna start
Well,
reading this on
yeah.
camera.
As
Why
a matter
not?
of fact, the book is going to be coming. What's it called?
It's going to be an audio book,
Yes.
and we will.
And the children are going to be
The
reading
children
the
are
book.
going to be reading it, because, and I'm doing that on purpose because I want adults to realize, if a child can read this
And understand.
it, you can read it and understand it. If a child can read this and understand it, there's no reason that to hold you back from
That's
reading and
right.
understanding. So our children will be a part of recording the audio book.
Wait, did you have this conversation without me?
I had
You
this
guys talked
conversation
about
with
this?
Mom. Yeah, we totally did.
I didn't know. This is the first time I'm hearing, but that is a brilliant idea. I love that idea.
Oh yeah! Oh, we didn't tell Kay that.
We didn't tell you that.
And I can never remember which twin I had a conversation with, which is why I kind of said, "Can we do a three-way?" Because I can never remember.
So you guys don't feel bad, because my mom has no idea sometimes who she's talking to. She can't tell us apart over the phone, so don't feel bad.
Hey,
if you can't
their
tell us apart.
children can't tell them
That's-
apart
it's true,
sometimes,
so.
okay? But we definitely we're here having a good time, because we're happy because we're working against racism.
That's right.
We have a happy time because we're fighting injustice. We love doing this.
Yeah.
It's the only life we're going to get. Can't be all down in the dumps
Yeah,
doing
that's
it.
right. All day long, every
Because
day
it's
life.
going to be here. Love it and do it. Work for the benefit of all womankind. I said it. Womankind. Work for the benefit of the entire human race.
Yes.
And everybody who can't get with the program, what can I say? It's time for you to change.
All right, you guys, that's it for today. We'll be back.
We will.
And hopefully my tags won't disappear next time. Sorry, I'll put your names in the comments.
And it'll be on YouTube. This will be posted to YouTube.
Yeah,
Have
it'll be
your friends
posted
go look
tonight.
for Resolving Racism, because that is the big picture. We're here to resolve racism.
Stay focused.
Get
Stay
rid of it.
focused. Resolving racism, that's what we're here to do.
This is just the beginning of this iceberg. We've got a long way to go.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye guys. See you later. Thank you for joining us.
No, baby.